Ladies and gentlemen, I have a very important segment detailing how Herschel Walker completely destroyed Warnock in the debate. That will be up at 1 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to explain later in this segment how Walker won the Senate seat and defeated his competition pretty handily. You can look at Fetterman losing his lead to Oz, Blake Masters surprising everyone in Arizona, Ron Johnson, he'll easily win Wisconsin, and you look at Herschel Walker. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes, but this is huge, and I wanted to do this segment early in the morning because Business Insider, Trump would testify to January committee if he can do it live, New York Times. And this is actually absolutely amazing news. And here's the reason why. So Trump is willing to testify. Initially, he said, nah, this is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. Because and we'll explain, he's not convicted, he's not indicted of a crime. He's not accused formally of a crime in a court of law because they don't have any evidence that he committed a crime. Okay, this is very simple for the morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats who think Trump is the embodiment of criminality. I'm going to say it very slowly for you. If you accuse someone of a crime, okay, now this is for all the lawyers and legal scholars and law schools who think that Trump is the embodiment of corruption. If you accuse Trump of a crime, then you should probably gather as much evidence as possible to indict him. If after 6 years or 7 years from 2015 until today, he's been guilty of everything from working with the Kremlin to pressuring officials in other countries and in Georgia and New York. And if the best thing that New York has, for example, is a civil case against Trump, or the best thing the January panel has is for him to testify, you have nothing on the man, okay? And so the difference is they could have indicted Clinton, but Comey, and you could see on this short, one of the shorts on this channel, the first one, 25,000 views already, the Honorable Director Comey stated, well, laws were broken, but no reasonable prosecutor would indict. He stated, those aren't my words, those are his words. You can watch that on the short on this channel, okay? It's at 25,000 views already, and Comey states, legal statutes were broken, but, we don't think any reasonable prosecutor would indict. Very different with Trump. There were no laws broken with Trump. Say it slowly. Morally superior, highly educated, wonderful liberal Democrat. Trump did not break any laws. Otherwise, Merrick Garland would have... It's been 2 years now. It's like that meme, the Titanic, the old lady in the Titanic. Like, it's been 84 years. They might indict Trump and lose in a court of law. So they might, just because Hunter is going to get a plea deal or an indictment, and they're not even going to actually look into the graft and bribery there. But the criminality is so rampant, they'll have to do something. So they might actually indict him just because they can't knock him out of 24. They're going to lose the Senate, they're going to lose the House, and impeachment is right around the corner, and the average American is already sick of the Democratic Party. So imagine, and inflation and the economy, they're both going to get worse. We all know this. So when Democrats or Biden says, well, if Republicans win the Senate and the House, he knows they'll win the Senate and the House. The economy's going to get worse. He knows the economy's already going to get worse. I thought the Inflation Reduction Act is going to reduce inflation. The whole thing's nonsense. They're just trying to, in the most vapid, absurd manner, mask their already inept and failed policies that are only going to get worse. Anyway, Trump testifying live, and we'll talk about this today. I'll have a live stream later today. Trump testifying live. Be here for the live stream at around, I'd say probably 5 p.m. or so, maybe 5 p.m. Trump testifying live, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the best thing that he can do. They don't want it live. They want a closed-door testimony. So we can read this right here. Trump wants to testify to the January committee, but only if they broadcast it live, New York Times reports. He might do it if it could be broadcast live on TV. Trump is likely to spin. And then the business, he's likely to spin everything into propaganda victories. It's like, well, no, the entire bogus panel. Okay, he didn't commit a crime, and the people who lost their lives were Trump supporters. There was also an officer who did the day after. But there was an unarmed woman who lost her life. I thought the left cared about unarmed human beings losing their life. But see, again, always hypocrisy. It's unbelievable. You cannot be a morally superior liberal Democrat and not live within this cloak, within this bubble of cognitive dissonance and hypocrisy. Socialists and progressives and liberals and Democrats love poor people. They love poor people so much, they actually cause the poverty with their completely apoplectic and irrational obsession with climate. It's an important issue. But you don't, please correct me if I'm wrong. If there's a wonderful, highly educated, morally superior liberal Democrat, in AOC's Green New Deal or in the Paris Climate Accords, did they say to pump 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves into the country? Because that's what Mashed Potato Brains Joe did, because his energy policies were a complete failure initially. He banned oil and gas companies from doing a whole bunch of things and then reversed course and said, no, you know what, we're okay with that. And it's your fault that you're not producing more. It's like, no, you made it more difficult. They sued you. Oil and gas associations sued Mashed Potato Brains administration. Okay? So within the lawsuits, if you read the lawsuits, they actually predict, look, the economy is going to suffer, inflation is going to go through the roof because of your policies. So make up your mind, Democrats. Do you want low gas? Do you want inflation to be to go down instead of rising inflation like we see now? Or do you want to save the planet? Because you can't do both. According to Democrats, they have to save the planet, but they're going to do so at the expense of the economy. They'll destroy the economy to save the planet, according to, and they're not even really abiding by their alleged value system, because they take initial steps to go to battle with oil and gas and say, we want to decarbonize the planet. And then they beg OPEC, and OPEC gives the you-know-what and says, nah, we want, obviously, to make money. And oil is going to go back up well over $100 a barrel. Inflation will go back up, and interest rates going up will do nothing. Interest rates have already gone up, and the Inflation Reduction Act led to inflation increasing the other day. Year over year, it's getting worse. So what is the point of raising interest rates? What is the point of getting interest rates higher and raising them if inflation isn't even going to subside? Because it's the same Democrats that said, oh, well, you know what, if Republicans are in office, inflation's going to get worse. These are the same people who said inflation's temporary. And you talk about information that misinforms. I mean, you could go down the list from economic statements to statements regarding you-know-what that we can't talk about. They're wrong about almost everything. And when they're wrong, they never admit it. They always backtrack. They have media just, it's like this political amnesia we have. And they say, well, the numbers changed. The information changed. It's like, yeah, well, that's... How come you haven't misinformed people? How come it's always people who dissent or offer an opposing viewpoint or a rebuttal that is causing people to be, to listen to information that could lead them to a different conclusion than your own? Oh my God! Oh my God! That's called democracy. Only Democrats want a ministry of truth. They wanted an actual government agency to decipher what's true and what's not, while at the same time either lying through their teeth or being wrong on all of their predictions and all of their claims, or a lot of their claims. The big reason we have this inflation and the economy in turmoil is the highly educated, morally superior experts and media pushed to tank and shut down economic activity for around 2 years. That was an economic sin. That opened up a Pandora's box of enormous problems. But if Trump testifies he did not commit a crime, he would turn. He's like he's like the Obi-Wan Kenobi of politics. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and also judo of politics. This man uses, Trump usually, oftentimes, sometimes he messes up, but he almost always uses the momentum of Democrats against them, especially when he's not in the Oval Office. So he's actually a very good campaigner. But he lost the script a little bit on social media the last year of his presidency. He shouldn't have been on Twitter. But if he would be on Twitter now, that would be if he gets back on Twitter, I think he will. That would be pretty awesome. Even if he has Truth Social, still get back on Twitter, because he'll probably use Truth Social first, and then like hours later use Twitter and write the same thing. But anyway, Trump goes and says, "Well, I haven't been indicted, and there was no evidence that I committed a crime." He should not, a Trump advisor bluntly told the Daily Beast. It's like, well, a Trump advisor isn't really going to speak to any liberal publications. So an actual Trump advisor is not going to really talk to liberal publications. So, but I might be wrong. Maybe the Daily Beast has, high-ranking members in Trump's administration. I don't think a high-ranking member will speak to any liberal publication. Okay? It would be the absolute best thing. So he's required to answer for his actions. Well, answer to whom? A partisan committee with two never-Trumpers? It's not a bipartisan committee. You have to be really stupid to think that it's a bipartisan committee when you have two people, one lost by 40 points, one who didn't even run for re-election, and who are part of a Republican Party that no longer exists. These are dinosaurs. The Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, they're still around, but they're like archaic. They're like dinosaurs. They belong in a museum, and eventually, like in a couple of years from now, it'll be purely Trump Republicans who will focus on the economy and will focus on negotiating in Europe, for example, limiting never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts and wars and all of that. The anti-war candidate and the candidate that actually addresses poverty is Trump, not Democrats. We had record low poverty under Trump. Say it slowly. Wonderful, morally superior socialist and highly educated liberal Democrat. Poverty was at a record low with Trump. 10.5%. It is at 15% now with Biden. Mashed potato brains. And we have a possible nuclear annihilation, but you know what? At least Trump isn't tweeting. Anyway, getting to Herschel Walker. You have the economy, you have the stock market, it's going to continue to tank. Everything's going to continue to tank for the next couple of weeks, about 3 weeks before November. Be here for the live streams. We're going to have an amazing time. Be here for the live stream tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, I guess really quickly, the main point that I forgot, he testifies and he says, "Why haven't you indicted me? There's nothing to indict. You don't have any evidence." And he turns the tables on them. I mean, it's pretty simple. They don't want that. You would think if he was this mastermind, this criminal, fiend, they would want the entire country to hear him speak. They don't want that. They do not want that because he didn't commit a crime. Okay, and so you're going to have a man who didn't commit a crime, who hasn't been indicted, speaking to people that are simply partisan. They don't care about national security or democracy. These are the same people who cheated Bernie Sanders and then blamed the Kremlin for informing us that Bernie was cheated. They don't even have a functioning primary. Getting to Herschel Walker. He's won Georgia. I think he's won Georgia. Now you never look. Georgia has you never know. I think the Senate will go Trump Republican. They're going to prolong finding out about, the final candidate who is successful will just, I have a wonderful viewer on this channel who calls me the algorithmist. So the eventual champion, we might not find out immediately. That is an issue. But aside from that, that debate was fantastic. Herschel Walker, sealed his victory. I mean, you have to understand, Warnock is only up because he has all of media. Democrats are only up in a recession with rising interest rates, oil prices, economic decline, crime, homelessness, European chaos in terms of foreign policy. They're only up because they have everybody from Jimmy Kimmel to social media algorithms to the New York Times, the Washington Post. I mean, every conceivable advantage. If they didn't have all of that, and you have Merrick Garland, who actually is Biden's personal attorney, who actually is the personal attorney of Democrats. They said, oh, Bill Barr, Sessions was the worst attorney general of all time. Bill Barr didn't back Trump on most things. But imagine if Trump had raided the house of Bill or Hillary or Hunter or anyone else. Could you imagine if Bill Barr did that? Merrick Garland did that. Because an informant told somebody at the Bureau. What if an informant told? I mean, where are the informants with Democrats? Gee, it's so funny how there's never any informants, but there's private servers and shady business deals and 150 suspicious financial transactions. And I want a Hillary Trump 2024. I think that's going to happen too. It's going to be fantastic. I can't wait. I pray every day for Hillary Clinton to run. It would be so wonderful for so many reasons. I'd obviously vote for Trump. I think Trump would be victorious. But the Democrats need Hillary Clinton. She's the only candidate they have. Mashed potato brains, are you kidding? Get real. Anyway, so, and believe me, for all the liberals and all the ones, they're like, no way, man. They will vote. If you told them to vote for, if the Democratic nominee was like, the Pirates of the Caribbean, animatronic, like, oh, Pirates of the Caribbean, and it's like an animatronic robot from the 80s. They'd vote for that thing. So they'll vote for anyone they're told to vote for. Democratic voters, highly educated, wonderful, morally superior, are born to vote blue no matter who. If they don't vote Democrat, they'll lose friends, family, they'll get kicked out of Facebook groups. It'll be like an abomination. So they can't think for themselves. They have to vote Democrat. Even if it leads to 8.5% real wages down 8.5%, my God almighty. How much money are you going to give from your paycheck just to stop Trump from tweeting? I mean, is it worth it? But it is worth it for Democrats. They don't care. They're passing literature in New York about, what happens in the event of a nuclear conflict. They're totally ready for it as long as Trump isn't tweeting. And that's not really hyperbole. They actually are totally fine with it. Could you imagine if Trump was presiding over all this nonsense? Could you imagine? An economy in decline and a country invaded in Europe that was supposed to have taken place under Trump. We had record low unemployment, record low Black and Latino unemployment. We had household median incomes at record highs. We had poverty at record lows. But Trump should do a better job explaining all of that. Those are all facts. CNN talked about poverty at a record low and household median incomes at record highs without $10 trillion pumped into the economy. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. I have a segment detailing how Herschel Walker completely defeated Warnock. He I think won that contest, and should be interesting. Things are heating up, ladies and gentlemen, and be here on this channel and be here this evening for the live stream. I'm going to try to do it early evening. Thank you so very much. God bless.